got 5:30 here.
You got 5:30.
So we're good to go now.
Okay.
You can call the meeting to order.
All right, it's 5:30 and it's time to call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome all the board members participating remotely in the interest of safety for all concerned, and we'd like to welcome those who are viewing it remotely tonight. I want to remind everybody when we take our vote on the different items, I'll have the roll call like we did last time without having confusion of names. I'll call on the first name, mention the first name, and we'll do it that way. We have one addition to the agenda that you had picked up earlier, I think, item number 4P. And other than that, it's all the same you had before. If no question, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as is. Ricky makes the motion. Second.
Wynn, second.
Wynn makes the second. All those in favor? Wynn?
Yes. Yeah.
Let me do it that way. Yes. Ricky? Yes. Bruce?
Yes.
Alan?
Yeah.
All in favor. You have your staff reports, superintendent reports. You can look those over later. We have the consent agenda, a few items there.
Mr. Blankenship?
Yes.
I had a question on 2D. I just wanted to get a clarification. I noticed there in those May 19, 2020 policy council minutes that there was an approval of the salary and extended days for the director of early childhood according to the salary schedule that was adopted back in June 13 of 2019. And I don't recall us ever reviewing and changing that job description, did we? And I think according to policy 1.11, we're to create, abolish any positions.
I'll reach out to Mr. Baker. Mr. Baker may want to chime in on this about when we talk about what is approved. So Mr. Baker, I'll turn that over to you.
Okay. Well, my understanding in reviewing that was the current position that had been approved by the board, and that was the current days of what's been approved and the current salary schedule what's been approved. That was not what they had been paying at early childhood, or Head Start, but that's what had been approved by this board, and that's what when they had a meeting they just put it in conformity with what this board had already approved. It's my understanding.
Well, I noticed on the job posting there wasn't even any days, and typically, I mean, that's put on a job posting. How many days? I noticed that wasn't on there either.
Yeah, some do, some don't. I mean, we can conform it to any way the board so chooses.
Well, I mean, I think it's posted on some jobs, but
Any further questions, Bruce?
no, I just had some concerns there. Possibly, I know the person that's presently in there doesn't work the 240 days. And I didn't recall since I've been on the board us ever changing it back. So
Would that be related to the fact that we had a retired individual who was in that position before?
It is. I mean, what we looked at on the regulations on that is if you have a retired individual in that position, we have to certify to the state that no other qualified applicants that were not retired had not applied for the position. And my understanding in the past that it had occurred, or we've been able to certify that. This year we had multiple applicants that were not retired individuals that were qualified and went through, we posted the position, went through interviews with members of the council. I can't think of the name, policy council, of the early childhood were part of that, and they chose one of the new applicants.
And as a point of emphasis, isn't it also true that people who are in a retired position or who are retired and work a position, there are limitations to the number of days they're allowed to work?
Well,
Yes,
there's a,
yes, good.
my understanding is there's a limitation number of days and the amount of income that you can earn.
Right.
So was that job approved each year for the retired person by the board?
Well, I don't believe that the board, I believe the superintendent has to send that documentation in. I don't think that the board does.
I mean, like on the day, since I know there's like some things that people are not certified, the board has to do approval each and every year till they get actually certified. So I didn't know if the board approved each year that or not. So if
No.
they had
It's just, the law states that I have to certify with the teacher retirement system that there was no other qualified folks for the job before I can verify and they can hire.
I have no other questions. Let's move on. The consent agenda, I think I mentioned that. You see the few items. Got any question, express it. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a question on 3A. I was reviewing those minutes. I noticed on the item 4.1 that we tabled that. Was that item addressed with Ms. Killen? Because I know that money had to be obligated.
Ms. Killen had come up with a plan of wanting to spend the money on some computers for her staff. And she has submitted a PO for that.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? We have a motion. Thank you. Wayne makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Ricky.
Ricky makes the second. Second. All those in favor? Wayne,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
John? Yes. All voting yes. We'll go to the action items. The first is contracting for police facility control investigations.
This is a new requirement when we get a district facility. So when we start with our district facility plan in the upcoming year, we get our local planning committee together. This is the first step. It's a new thing that the state requires. And at first fee, KDE sets the price. Our square footage is 584,859 feet. As part of this, they will complete what they call the K6 ED site survey. The price for this is $29,000. I recommend Sherman Porter Barnhart for them to complete this for us as the first step. It's got to be completed.
When does the next district facility plan process start?
We normally would start right now. We've been told to hold off with the lawsuits about the mini school, but the goal would be able to definitely dive into it once we start back to school next semester.
Do we have a motion to approve?
I've got a really bad connection here, so I can't. I don't know if it looks like somebody's mic is overriding what you all are saying. So it might be something we need to clarify before we move forward.
Same here.
I've noticed the lag as well.
I think it's Alan's mic. His little icon keeps flashing up. So if he want to hit the mute while he's not speaking, that might help us.
Okay, Alan, did you hear that?
at it.
Okay, good.
All right, so yes, I would make a motion to proceed with 4A.
All right. Ricky makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Wynn will second.
Second. All right, it's a roll call for vote. Wynn,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Alan? Yes, and I join the affirmative vote. Next item is the KEDC membership agreement.
Yeah, this is an annual thing we've done with different co-ops, but the recommendation is to continue with KEDC as our co-op and the membership agreement. The price actually went up to $5,115, but they are giving a 30% discount for this school year. So the price for that will be $3,580.15. We currently use that in our co-op for instructional support, collective bidding and purchasing, for minority recruitment and MUNA support. So we use it for quite a few things, and I'd recommend that we continue with our yearly contract with KEDC.
And we do this every year, and we've been with them a long time.
KEDC actually has been with them for 3 years now, I believe, third year coming up.
Any questions? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion that we enter into our membership agreement with KEDC for the 2021 school year.
You've heard the motion. Do we have a second?
I will second.
Wynn makes a second. Roll call. Wynn,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Alan? Yes, I join it too. 4C is the bid for school health services.
Yes, this is something we discussed, I think, in detail last year. Had a committee that looked at this of seeing, are we getting the best, I guess, bang for the buck when it comes to our school health services. So, Ms. Smith, you can kind of talk them through the process of, I believe we did the RFP on this. Is that correct?
Yes, we did a request for proposal and we received 2 proposals back. That's correct.
Okay. And the proposals we have is one from Healthy Kids Clinic, who is our current provider for health services. That is $124,955.49 for the year. We have Family Care Healthcare Associates is the other, and their bid is $0. We've done the background checks on these, on both of these, and my recommendation is we would go with Family Healthcare Associates and have a savings of $125,000.
I do have a couple questions. I know we had some a few issues or questions about the Healthy Kids Clinics services that they provided last year. Didn't seem like it was anything major, but that was something that kind of brought up the questioning and doing a bid on that last year. So what was the atmosphere like, or what was the service like this year with the Healthy Kids Clinic? I didn't.
I think they've done a good job. The biggest concern we had is when we had to try to find a substitute for some of my nurse who was sick or was out. A lot of times they'd end up pulling maybe from Highland or another school, so we'd have one school that wouldn't be covered. That was the biggest concern we had with this. Over the last couple of years, they've been lowering the price, Healthy Kids Clinic has, because we have some students who have needs in this district, and they're able to bill for that. But the price they brought back this year was the original price that we had when we first started with them. So the price actually went up compared to what we've been paying for the last year or so.
Okay, and one of the big factors last year as well, I remember us talking about, was having counselors staffed, and Healthy Kids Clinic was suggesting that they would be able to provide those. I'm not sure if they ever did or not. Is that something this the Family Health Care Associates are going to be able to provide for us now?
Yes, they will, and their goal is to hire from our staff if they're willing. They said on average they pay $2 more per hour than what the Healthy Kids Clinic is paying. So their goal is to hire the nurses we have if they so choose to go with them. Okay. They also have bonuses that Healthy Kids Clinic doesn't give either. So the background checks that we've got from districts are using it. This is a great program, and I'm recommending it. A new group because it's a big savings of $125,000.
Yeah, and this is a 1 year. Is this a 1 year contract? And we will
year contracts, and if we don't like it, we can always change after this year.
Okay.
Any other question? Do we have a motion to approve the school health service as recommended by the superintendent?
I make a motion.
Ricky makes a motion. Second.
Wynn will second.
Wynn makes the second. Roll call. Wynn,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Alan? Yes, I'll join in with the affirmative vote. Drug testing services, Mr. Rowe.
Yes, it's time for us to do our drug testing services and place the bids out. We received 2 bids. The recommended one's going to be In Vivo. It's formerly known as Premier Drug Testing. They're out of Russell County here in Kentucky. Their prices are obviously cheaper. I've had a chance to deal with them when I worked in their previous district when they were called Premier. They're very reputable and they do a good job. So my recommendation is that we go with In Vivo for this school year.
Any questions? If not, I entertain a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Bruce makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Ricky.
Ricky makes the second. Roll call. Wynn,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Alan? I'll join the group 2 in affirmative vote. 4E is a 2020-21 dual credit memorandum agreement with BCTC.
This is very similar to other dual credits. This is with the Bluegrass Community and Technical College, allowing our students to receive dual credit through those for some of the classes at the high school. So it's just following the lines we've done with EKU and UK.
Pretty routine. Do we have a motion approved?
Motion, Ricky.
Ricky makes the motion. Second,
Second, Bruce.
Bruce. Roll call. Wynn,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Alan? He votes yes, and I join the group 2. 4F is the tentative budget. Leanne, we'll turn to you.
All right, so you guys have the tentative budget, and if you'll remember back in January, we approved a draft budget, and so that's the first step. This is the second step, and it is due to KDE by May 30th, and then we'll have a working budget or the final step in the budget process. That's due to KDE by September 30th. So basically, you take the draft budget and you add in what information you've gained in the meantime to adjust to how you expect the school year is going to look. I'll just run through the talking points, which I believe that were made available to you all. The budget has a contingency of $1,473,000, which is 5% of the budget. And as you know, KDE mandates a 2% contingency. The draft budget that we prepared in January did include staff raises, which we were hoping we would see an increase in SEEK funding. We did not see that. We're staying at the $4,000 per student. So this budget removed those staff raises that Marcia had built in. So there are no staff raises included in the budget. A good point, due to COVID-19 and just the difficulties that districts have been through, the CERS, the retirement rate, is staying constant at 24.06%. We'd been told that was going to increase to 26.95%. That saves us about $100,000. So that's good for our budget. The budget's based on a 4% tax revenue increase in the fall. Looks like historically that has been the pleasure of the board, so I went ahead and built that in, and that amounts to about $150,000 in additional revenue if that's taken. I projected SEEK at a little over $15 million. Salaries and benefits make up approximately 78% of the general fund budget, which is virtually identical to the current budget or the last year's budget. And then I've got listed below there some of the things that are built in. I didn't really try to reinvent the wheel. What's been working, we held that constant. So you can see there's money in there for student workstations, for buses, of course, our insurance, our CATS match, debt service. You can read down through there and see. So if you have questions, of course, it's a work in progress. And we'll be seeing how the coronavirus affects, numbers. If federal and state funding is going to be what we would expect it to be, we'll be flexible. I did try to be conservative so that, if things change, that we'll be prepared to, absorb things somewhat. So,
Leanne, I've noticed that the contingency is up to 5%. Was it 4% last year?
It was. And
So-
actually, I'll point out the draft budget that Marcia had prepared for January actually had a larger contingency amount by $60,000. But because she used larger numbers, it was a
Mhm.
smaller percentage of the total budget.
Yeah.
When I took the SEEK money back down to what I really anticipate it to be at this time, it made the contingency a larger percentage of the overall budget. But I think you all have been at 4 from what I've heard.
Mhm.
So this has it at 5%.
Yeah, I like seeing that contingency fund grow. That's 5% looks great, but in the big picture, it's still barely getting by. So
It's really not
Yeah.
a lot when you look at the whole big picture, but
Yeah.
it's something to start with, something to build
Absolutely.
on maybe for the future.
absolutely, I like seeing it grow. Thank you for that.
Yep.
Leanne, I appreciate Ricky's comments. I'll agree with that. And you made a very thorough report and appreciate your efforts to get that contingency to the 5%. It's been years since we've been near that, I think. So my compliments are to you for that.
Well,
Any
thank you.
questions about the budget?
We need to approve it. You have to approve it.
And we have to approve it, so I need a motion then.
Motion, Ricky.
Ricky makes the motion. Who makes the second?
Win, second.
Wynn makes the second one. Roll call. Wynn,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Alan? And I join the group in affirmative vote. The next item is the extend the vendor list for bus parts and supplies.
Yes, this is just continuing what we had last year, basically using Kimball, Midwest, Stanford Auto Parts, A&A Auto Parts, Battery Warehouse, Bluegrass International, and Fleet Pride. And this is the recommendation from the Transportation Department, and that's my recommendation, is to continue those.
Pretty routine. So
Mhm.
without a question, I entertain a motion to approve that item.
I make a motion, we extend the vendor list.
Bruce makes the motion. Who makes the second?
Win will second.
Wynn makes the second. Roll call. Wynn,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Alan? And I join the affirmative vote again. Thank you. Bid for the bank depository services.
Yes, we had one bid this year, and it is Farmers National Bank, who we currently use. The interest rate is a flat rate of 0.5%, and that would be for the entire school year. So my recommendation is we approve to continue using Farmers National Bank as our bank depository services.
Quite routine item. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion, Ricky.
Ricky makes the motion. Who makes the second?
Second, Bruce.
Bruce makes the second. Roll call. Wynn,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Alan? He votes yes, and I join him too. Next item is the yearbook services bid.
Yes, we had two bids for those. That is Walsworth and Life Touch. If you were able to look at the attachments, there was different prices for the high school versus the middle school. At the high school level, it was a little bit cheaper going with Walsworth. But if you look at the middle school, it was definitely much, much cheaper going with Life Touch. After talking to both of our employees who work with the yearbooks at the schools and looking at the lower price overall, my recommendation is we continue using Life Touch for our yearbook services.
All right, if no questions, I'll ask for a motion to approve the yearbook service.
Win makes motion.
Wynn makes the motion. Who makes the second?
Second, Bruce.
Bruce. Roll call. Wynn,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Alan? Votes yes, and I do too. The next item is the 2021 contract renewals for fire protection, pest control, waste removal, cold drink and snack vending.
Yes, the recommendation is to continue with using the folks we have. For the fire protection, that is American Fire. For the pest control, we're using Jeff Woodall and his Guardian Exterminating Company. For waste removal, it's Republic Services of Kentucky. For cold drink is Pepsi Cola, and snack vending is CNN Vending.
Pretty routine. Do we have a motion to approve those?
Motion, Ricky.
Ricky, who has the second?
Win, second.
Wynn makes the second. Roll call. Wynn,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Alan? He votes yes, as I do. Motion carried. Advertise for and accept the sealed bid providing fuel for school buses.
Yeah, this is just simply asking permission to be able to bid out and advertise for those who would be willing to provide fuel for us, and hopefully we can get the lowest cost. So this is just a recommendation is that we advertise and accept sealed bids for this.
Who has the motion for this item? Need a motion.
So moved, Bruce.
Bruce. Alan makes the second.
Second, Ricky.
Roll call. Wynn,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Alan, and I join them in the affirmative vote. Certified teachers, emergency certified teachers.
This is something we do yearly. The Kentucky Department of Education will bring out a list of for the emergency certified teachers in their critical shortage areas, and they'll have a list for that. So this is just to allow us to be able to do that. So my recommendation is to allow for the hiring of emergency certified teachers in these critical shortage areas as needed.
Okay, who has the motion?
Motion, Ricky.
Ricky, second.
Second, Bruce.
Bruce. Roll call. Wynn,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Alan, and I join them as well in affirmative vote. The hiring of certified and classified substitutes.
This is something we do yearly. Allows us to start the process of hiring for our certified and classified substitutes for the upcoming school year. The sooner we can get on this, the better, because as we know, as the year goes along, sometimes it's difficult to find subs when needed.
No problem there. Who has a motion for this item?
Wynn makes motion.
Wynn, who has the second?
Second, Ricky.
Ricky. Roll call. Wynn,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Alan? Yes, and I join them as well. Next one is a problem we've had since the middle school was built, I think. You think we can get this?
Yes, what Mr. Yaden and working with a few people bringing in to kind of look at this, what we thought was actually a roof leaking is actually the brick. The brick is not blocking the water. So this would allow us to have Schnell contractors come in and replace some of the brick as needed, because basically it's running down the brick wall and working its way into the gymnasium and other places of the building. Mr. Yaden got up on the roof with Schnell, and they were able to replicate it. It took them a long time, spraying water in certain directions for a certain amount of time. So we do know where the leak's coming from now, but now it's time for us to fix it. Again, the cost will be around $29,850, but I think I recommend doing this. We need it done.
Mr. Rowe, can we get it done before school starts?
Yes, so the goal is once we get teachers out of the building, which should be all done at this point, is the staging area is going to be up front around the loop, and we're going to get onto it as quick as we can.
Okay, sounds good. This is really needed. So, yeah, Alan?
When I read through that, I know it said the gymnasium and somewhere else. Does that include the whole front wall where those classrooms has been leaking and everything else on the second floor?
It's supposed to stop it all, yes.
In other words, they won't be a leak on the front period when they get done, supposedly.
Right, that's correct. Now, they may get into it, and it may get into more money. If it does, I'll bring it back to the board.
But the bid was, their intentions is they're fixing the whole wall. It was just over by the gymnasium, correct?
That's correct.
Yep.
Okay, I'll make the motion, Tom.
All right. Alan
Second,
makes the
Ricky.
motion. Who makes the second?
Second, Ricky.
Ricky. Roll call. Wynn,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Alan? He votes yes as I do. Next item is the school resource officer for the next school year.
This past year, we had one school resource officer at the high school, also serviced the middle school, and we had 3 part-time individuals from Stanford Police Department who worked their ways through the elementary schools. That's the same thing that I'm recommending for this school year. Last year, that cost the district $52,800. This year, the city of Stanford is offering the same services for an increase up to it's $59,804. So basically an increase of $7,000. My recommendation is we do that. I think this is a valuable tool that we have in our school district.
It's a necessity anymore, I'd say, yes.
Yes.
All right, do we have a motion to approve that?
Tom, I have a question.
Sure.
You know, when we were looking at all the like the extra counselors and, the resource officers, those are all part of Senate Bill 1 requirements. We were given a couple of options. Were those considered possibly? I know it's a little bit more money, but I think it's more resource officers in the district.
I can get bids on those if that's what the board would like for me to do.
Of course, we were told, I mean, option one in the information we were given back earlier is there'd be one full-time at the high school, one full-time at the middle school, and then traveling for the elementary schools, and that was about $80,000.
Mhm.
And then option two was the same two full-times. I'm sorry, that travel on option one, they would be going 5 days a week. And on option two, it's the same, but it's only 3 days a week for the elementary. And that was like 72,000.
Like I said, I can get those bids. I think that the ones that I'd shared at the previous meeting that you just quoted were coming from Chief Middleton, but ultimately it has to come through the city of Stanford. So I'm sure it's going to be very similar to those numbers. But if you want me to get an exact amount, I can do that.
How do you feel, Bruce?
Well, I mean, I just keep going back to those things in Senate Bill 1 that, you know, we need to be working on. And I mean, I don't know. I saw that and didn't know if that was possibly considered. You know, we had talked about that. We need to add additional school resource officers plus counselors to meet those Senate Bill 1 requirements. And I was just curious if this was considered when, you know, proposing this to us.
What do you recommend now? Go ahead.
I'm fine either way with it. I mean, I think more school resource officers is great, but I'm kind of scared too with the budget, not knowing what's coming up. So
maybe we ought to go ahead and approve
maybe
this.
let me talk to Leanne here. Leanne, what's your thoughts on it? I know you got a hand on the budget.
Well, I don't think it would hurt to get the pricing information and to give it a little thought. I don't think I'm not a definite no on it. So, I mean, could we approve this and then perhaps look at, you know, supplementing, you know, in addition to this contract that we're approving now?
It's a good idea.
Yes, we could definitely do that. I mean, I'm sure that they were open to the idea of adding more.
Well, if the board wanted to go ahead and approve, of course, we could maybe go ahead and do that. And then maybe we could negotiate with the supplemental coverage that, you know, just to see what the pricing would be and me to look around to see where we could shift some money from to cover that.
That's a good idea. I think that's what we need to do.
So that I'll get a hold of Chief Middleton and we'll do that.
I got a question, Tom.
Pardon?
I got a question. So this one we're accepting for the 59,000, that's for the one at the high school alone, without the one at the, am I understand that correct?
Yeah, this is one at the high school. He's stationed at the high school. He helps with the middle school, but they do have 3 part-time that work their way through the elementary schools. Not every day, but they're there providing a lot of times it's being present or some curriculum about anti-drugs.
Well, the only thing I was getting at, I'm like Bruce, I mean, if we're gonna do it, the time to barter would be before we told them to go ahead, because I'd be more for giving the $80,000 to have one full-time at the high school and one at the middle school, and then another one rotating so many days a week at the elementary school.
Okay.
At least you're guaranteeing what you're getting that way.
I'm sorry. I noticed on this document, and I think it's in everyone's e-meeting there, it says the numbers below have not been approved by the Stanford City Council and their estimates only. So
Is that what it says there? Okay.
yeah.
What's your recommendation?
So I don't know who you know did this document, but I mean they had to do some figuring.
That was Chief Middleton. He sent it to me.
I don't think it'd be any issue if we just ask for the city of Stanford to give us pricing, the 3 different options, the current, you know, with the second full-time and 2 full-times and 1 alternating through. I don't think there'd be an issue with that. We certainly could approve it, you know, with the July meeting and it'd be everything ready to go by the school year. So I don't think there'd be an issue with that.
Yeah, I think we could have the agenda for the June meeting. I would think, no problem.
We'll table this then.
And we'll get all those quotes and get them exact figures for you.
Moving on to the next item, we've got to deal with a memorandum of agreement with the state of Kentucky for 3 of our former employees, Tim Godby, Debbie Sims, and Billy Harris, for the 2021 school year.
Yeah, this is something we've done regularly. They're all serving in the education recovery, either as an education recovery specialist or a director. This allows them to continue into that. So basically, we're giving them on loan to the Department of Education, and the Department of Education is giving us the money to pay them for that. We also do get indirect costs for this, for each of those. The total indirect cost for all three is $7,614. For us doing this, they do give us the indirect costs, so we do have that money. So my recommendation is we approve those MOAs for those three individuals.
If no questions,
Motion, Ricky.
Second, Bruce.
all right. Ricky and Bruce makes a motion. The second roll call, Win,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
and Alan. He votes yes as well as I do. The next item is about discussion and possible action on the recoverable nickel. Several days ago, I was talking to the superintendent, and even before that, I was more and more, was coming to feel strongly that this is definitely not the time to pursue this. As we all know, there's been a lot of changes going on, maybe not us personally, but a lot of people have lost their jobs or working only part-time or can't find work or having trouble putting food on the table or paying bills. And with all of this, there's that fear and dread of what this dreaded disease could do, and especially for the children. And we got to think about that too as we go back in the classroom and the buses. And to me, I think with all of this going on, it's pretty just unthinkable that we would consider pursuing this. And I will be making a motion in a few minutes to rescind our board order going back to, I think, last September. Some may say, well, let's go ahead and let the people decide. But I say why, because this is a futile effort right now with all the circumstances we're dealing with. And it's already decided. It's going to go down strongly to defeat. And why stress the people anymore? And why drag it out and prolong it? And why add a lot more work, unnecessary work on the county clerk's office? And I think we need to be proactive. And I think if we go ahead and push it, we're going to get a strong reaction from the people that may take a long time to get that back. And the mindset, we don't want to have this with all this going on and the images that we're coming along, we're going to put a big tax on you on top of that. The people in this county has been faithful in supporting this district through taxes. And I think it's now time for us to reciprocate in a time of economic uncertainty, high unemployment, and to show we got a conscience and compassion for the people and move on to other things. I don't know how we can, as board members, in good conscience, add a additional tax on a lot of families who are suffering right now. And I would hope that we would respond to the motion I'll be making to help the people, and we can move on to things that's more pressing. Mr. Rowe, I'll let you make some. Yes, Alan.
Go ahead.
I just want to add to what you're saying. I appreciate you thinking about everybody, but the thing about it, whenever we voted on it before, that's the whole comment everybody made in the public, that they was already taxed to death as it was then, and you wanted to pursue it then. So, and I understand the corona wasn't here then as well, but the thing about it, that
people have changed.
We didn't care to impress hardship on them then. So, I mean, that's my whole thinking. I mean, it's still up to the people to decide. I mean, that's the whole purpose of putting it to the vote to start with.
Mr. Rowe, I'll turn to you for some comments.
Yes. I don't think you'll find anybody that's a bigger supporter of the recallable nickel tax and what it could do for our facilities in this district. But I have to concur and agree with Mr. Blankenship. I think COVID-19 has changed everything. We have people right now, the last statistics I saw, almost 1 in 4 Americans are in some type of unemployment. We have people that can't afford to feed their kids. We have people that probably are going to struggle to pay regular taxes, let alone a new tax. So, as the biggest supporter as I am of the tax and what it could do with the match, I have to agree with Mr. Blankenship. I just don't think it's the right thing for us to be asking anybody in Lincoln County to be paying more when they're struggling just to survive. So my recommendation would be to rescind it.
I have a question.
Yes,
I have a question. Did the funds for the matching actually get put in the final budget?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, it did.
That's what I thought.
It's a 1-year budget though, if I understand correctly.
Right.
Good Lord willing that hopefully that match will be back in there next year. And And Alan, I couldn't agree with you more, man. We are taxed. We all pay taxes in this community. And my heart doesn't go out just for, the people that can't, that are going to struggle to pay their taxes, but all the small business owners too, man. I mean, it's a different time than it was a few months ago. What we all know is the need and the necessity for good, solid, and great facilities for our kids and for the projection of this district for years and years to come. The need's still there, and we're inherently going to lose millions and millions of dollars of match money from the Frankfurt anyway. So it's a tough call on both sides if we want to be right down the middle and look at it both ways. But absolutely, during this time period, we can't make this a debate about when it was, how we treated people then versus now. I mean, everybody's together in this, trying to show compassion for their neighbor, and that's just what I'm about. Whether it's us or small business owners, farmers, everybody. I mean, we got to do everything we can. I wish we could lower our taxes even more than what they are to help people out in this time, but we can only do what we can do and hope for the best.
Any other comments?
Well, I mean, I think it was in the information. I mean, we also need to consider, the 1,000+ folks that actually signed the petition to have it recalled. And I just think that, this is the second time this tax has been tried, and both times there's never been a plan put out. And I think folks would possibly support it if they knew exactly what this money was going to be going for, to build new buildings or to do renovations and additions. Because if you look at our current facility plan, we've got some buildings that desperately need some attention.
Couldn't agree more.
Any other comments? If not, I'm going to go ahead and offer the motion that I mentioned, that I'll make the motion that the board rescinds the board order back in September, calling for the levy of the nickel tax. Do we have a second? Ricky makes the second. Roll call. Wynn?
Yes.
Ricky?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes.
Alan? Alan? Votes no, I vote yes. 4-1, the motion carries. Fellas, we thank you all for joining us. Be safe. We'll talk to you later. Meeting adjourned.